Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys coming by and watching the video today. Always very grateful for that. And guys, today I have got a message to my fellow veteran bass pros out there that it's time to grow a pair and start fighting the good fight when it comes to this technology that's been taking over our sport. Now, you guys have heard me talk about this a ton the last couple weeks, and that's for good reason, because we have seen in the first two Bassmaster Elite Series events at Toledo Bend and Lake Fork that's going on right now, a complete, total domination takeover of this technology in the sport of fishing. And you're starting to see the veteran pros getting fed up with it. So we're gonna talk about that a little bit in today's video. And I got a pointed message that I wanna send to all my peer group out there about this situation here. I'm also, guys, just a big thank you. I want to give everybody for helping the channel here by subscribing to the channel and using all the links in the description. Everybody out there that's been using my Tackle Warehouse link to purchase your tackle that I put in the description of each video, you guys are really doing a huge help here, helping benefit the channel. So thank you very much for people that are participating in that. Okay, guys, I've heard a bunch of interviews, not just interviews, guys. I have gotten probably 7 or 8 different private messages from my buddies that fish the Elite Series tournaments. I'm not gonna name names here, but you guys have seen some interviews also about some of the veteran guys coming out with I know one of the guys that was on stage at the Bassmaster Elite Series, I think yesterday down at Fork, made a comment about Liv Scope, that Liv Scope turns an average angler into a hero. I would probably add to that Liv Scope turns a below average bass angler into an angler that can win tournaments simply through the technology of the video game out there. And what's happening here is you're seeing more and more pros getting they see the writing on the wall because their performance is going down the tube. You guys know who I'm talking about. You guys have seen there's been 4 or 5 different veteran pros, hammers on the Elite Series that have come out and alluded to the fact on either social media or on Bassmaster stage or whatever, that they have got this growing sense of frustration that they do not want this. They don't want it, but they don't want to say anything about it. Now, to you guys out there, all you guys, I've been fishing around you for 40 years. I know who you are. You guys know who I am. You guys have been in the trenches for years. All you guys out there that are in the group that I'm talking about, you know who you are. You guys have worked your entire life to perfect your art form of fishing. You have put in the blood, the sweat, and the tears, long hours on the water for decades. You've been away from your families for countless, months at a time. You've done all the due diligence with it to learn the craft that you have formulated to allow you to make a living in bass fishing. You know as well as I do that now every bit of information, all you guys that have won classics, you guys that have won Angler of the Years, you guys that have won Bassmaster tournaments like myself, all you guys that have been doing this forever, the knowledge that you have and the information that you have worked your ass off for 30 years to gain is worthless now. It's absolutely worthless. Just like one of those guys, one of the top anglers at the Liv Scope benefit tournament at Lake Fork this week said, they can't catch a fish unless they're looking at it with a Liv Scope. They don't know how to do it. They don't know how to bass fish other than looking at a video of the game screen. That is what is taking you down right now. All you guys out there that have won these millions of dollars in bass tournaments, you will continue to get your butt kicked in these tournaments unless you stand up and join the fight here, join the team with me, and work to get this forward-facing sonar taken away from tournaments out there. You're not going to be able to just flip a switch and compete with a 20-year-old kid that knows nothing else besides that, and that is their only game. They don't have anything else. They go to the lake, they put their Liv Scope in, or active target or whatever, with however their 5 or 6 transducers, and they simply go out and look for fish with that electronic technology. They do not know what it means to fish, to find fish. Whatever happened to that, guys? Why have all of a sudden the last 2 years, the entire concept of what tournament fishing and the legitimacy of the sport being that you go out and you fish to find the fish has went away? You don't do that anymore. All you do is look at that damn electronic screen to find the fish out there, and there's nothing else beyond that. This world of fishing, thanks to Bassmaster and MLF not doing the right thing, has turned the sport in towards nothing but guys going out in the middle of the lake, throwing a minnow bait, throwing possibly a jerk bait, and catching gigantic bags of fish. I do not consider all these 30-pound bags of fish that are getting caught at Lake Fork right now, that doesn't impress me at all. I consider that illegitimate. I put it on the same thing as like the era of steroids in baseball. We are in the era right now of forward-facing sonar. Same with baseball, went through the era of steroids during Mark McGwire's year. Yeah, did everybody love to see, you know, the meat-covered robot like Mark McGwire, you know, hit 70 home runs 600 feet away? And some people like to see guys looking at a video game screen catching 30-pound bags of fish. But ultimately, you saw what the Major League Baseball did with steroids. They got away from it because it was taking away the tradition of the sport. They considered steroids illegal. It's going to be the same thing with forward-facing sonar. If you guys would get off your butt and stop feeling like you got to join the herd of cattle here and start doing the right thing and stand up for our sport. You guys are the ones out there, all you veteran pros out there, you guys have the platform. You guys have the influence. You guys have the mouthpiece to get this taken away from our sport, because it's destroying the sport. It's destroying every aspect of the tradition, the heritage, the history, the mystery, the magic, the intrinsic value, every aspect of learning your craft as far as knowing seasonal patterns and movements and the subtleties of bass fishing that require decades of work. All that stuff has been taken away right here. And if you guys would quit beating around the bush and saying, oh, I got to learn this technology a little bit better, or the game's just changing, or the old ways don't work anymore, stop doing that. Start growing a pair, get a backbone, and start coming out against this. Tell the people at Bassmaster, tell the people at MLF, we do not want this. This is not a positive to our sport. What the hell are you doing to our sport? Look what you've transformed the sport into. You have taken people out there that have just dominated the sport in legitimate ways through hard work and, you know, primal instincts and intuition and just everything, in every instinctual aspect about bass fishing that makes it dear. All that has been taken away from you guys out there. You will continue to get frustrated. All you Hall of Famers out there, all you future Hall of Famers that are in your 40s and 50s right now, you will not be able to compete against the 20 to 25-year-old class out there simply because you have too much information. You have too much information to draw on in your experience. And these guys that are kicking your butts right now, they don't have any experience other than looking at a screen. They have an umbilical cord attached to them. It's the same with somebody if there's an astronaut on the moon. They are on the moon and they're on life support, keeping them alive in that particular atmosphere. And if you take that away from them, they'll die. It's the same with these anglers out there right now. They're the top 10 of every Bassmaster tournament, the last 2 tournaments that you've never heard of. You take that technology away from them and they couldn't even compete in a club tournament. Is that where you want the sport to go? You have the power to change this. You do. You don't have to beat around the bush. And after you bring in 18 or 20 pounds of fish in traditional bass fishing means, and then you look up on the screen and see some guy with 35 or 40 pounds, you know, live scoping, you don't have to put up with that. That is, see it for what it is. See it how it is degrading the sport. See it how it is a threat to the sport. One of the things that you need to look at, and this is one of the big things that most people don't understand, it's not just the fact that forward-facing sonar has completely taken over our sport and made traditional bass fishing techniques worthless. It is all of the pending technology advancements that's on the horizon right now. All you guys out there that have been fishing as long as I do, you can remember back in the late 80s and early 90s, we had 2 units on our boat. We had a flasher on the console, we had a flasher up front. You had probably $600 or $700 total investment in your electronics. Right now, it's went to $50,000. Most of the norms on these live scopers out there, they got $30,000 to $50,000 worth of equipment. You put another 10 years on this, guys, maybe 5 years, with the technological advancements that are on the way, since Bassmaster and MLF don't have any desire to do what's right for the sport. you're going to have guys that have $100,000 worth of electronics on their boat before you know it. It's around the corner, I can guarantee you. We have went the last 30 years from having less than $1,000 worth of electronics on every pros, touring level pros boat, to $30,000 to $50,000 today on there. It's turning this sport into an elitist sport. It's turning into a situation where you have so much income disparity in the sport. You've got 18 and 20-year-old kids out there that have more money than the top pros did 30 years ago because for whatever, it's family money or whatever, I'm not sure what it is, but it's not good for the sport. There's nothing that's beneficial that we're seeing from this. So I am just tired. One of the things I'm tired of seeing is I'm tired of seeing all of these veteran pros out there that have been fishing as long as I have just beat around the bush when they get their butt kicked by that and they don't stand up for it. You guys can change this. Would you rather have a sport that was like, say, for example, the Bob Cobb days back in the early 90s, late 80s? By every measure, that was the pinnacle of the Bassmaster television show. Everybody that has any type of a historical appreciation for the Bassmasters that have watched it, for decades, everybody says that is the era that bass fishing was the best on TV. You know what we had back in there? We had 2 flashers, that was it. We didn't even have GPS, we had paper maps out there. So from that standpoint, the elimination of the forward-facing sonar technology is not gonna do anything except increase the level of interest in the sport. Bassmaster put out all these numbers a couple days ago. Oh, the Toledo Bend was the highest this and that of all time out there. Number one, I didn't see any data that they provided to back that up. And number two, that ain't because of forward-facing sonar. I guarantee if you'd have had a tournament where there was no forward-facing sonar and you had Greg Hackney flipping a 1-ounce jig and some reeds, boat flipping 7-pounders, and you had Keith Pochet jumping a sandbar to get back into somewhere, the ratings would have been 50% higher. Any type of incremental growth that you're seeing or interest in the sport is not because of forward-facing sonar at all. It's because people have an interest in watching fishing shows out there. It's early in the season. People have been cooped up all winter, and all of a sudden we have fishing shows. That is why the interest is up there. It's not forward-facing sonar. Point of the matter is, guys, to all you pros out there, it's time to fight the good fight. It's time to quit beating around the bush and trying to be politically correct where you don't offend somebody, that you don't offend somebody at Bass, or you don't offend an electronic company. Your deal out there where you're getting free electronics for this company, from these electronic companies, ain't worth it, guys. It's not worth the destruction of the sport that we're seeing with this. So I just want to encourage every one of you guys that have been contacting me and complaining about this, or all you guys out there that are making these backhanded slaps, these subtle backhanded remarks against forward-facing sonar, feeling that you have your hands tied and there's nothing you could do. You don't have to put up with that. And to you pros out there that are out there actively endorsing this and saying this is a great thing and saying technology is wonderful and I love the advancements in technology, you guys are insulting everything about the sport that made you is where you're at right now. There's nothing about that. There's nothing about this that is great out there. There's not one single aspect about forward-facing sonar technology that has any type of higher purpose in the sustainability of the sport or the traditions or their heritage, everything that made bass fishing great out there. It's time to stand up for this, fight the right fight, get on the right side of history here, and put this forward-facing sonar era that we're in right now behind us. That can be done tomorrow, just like that. If all the veterans up there would get up and unite and stand up against this, we could get this thing removed from tournaments immediately, and you guys would once again be competitive. But if you want to continue to get your butts kicked by these 20-year-old kids that don't have any bass fishing experience out there, then just go ahead and toe the line. Go ahead and just be milquetoast about it. Just grumble about it, but don't grumble too much. If that's what you want and you want to see your career to continue to go downhill, then that's what's happening by you doing that. So you can either make a decision to stand up, fight the good fight, get on the right side of history here, or continue, to see your career dwindle and put yourself in a position of irrelevancy in the sport, because that's what is happening right now unless you make a stand about it. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on it. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk later.